In the world of real estate, tech has been the number one thing that everyone concentrates on. And with all that being said, now we have this new wave of AI coming in and just seems like nothing ever works correctly or is easy to work together. But Peter and I have actually stumbled upon this awesome software that actually brings it all together, fills in the blanks, and works correctly seamlessly. With us today, we have our good friend, Brandon. How are you doing today?
I'm great, man. It's a great Sunday. World Series was amazing. I don't know if you guys watched that, but life's good. We've been in the trenches for a while, but we're finally out, and I can't complain. I love what we're doing, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for
Course.
coming. Now, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Brandon, and tell us a little bit about the software that you guys created.
Oh gosh, a little bit about myself. I've always been a tech nerd. I did relatively well in real estate by most standards, and did most of that by leveraging systems, process, procedures, and cold calling for the most part. It really wasn't a fun experience per se, but it allowed me to have the freedom in other parts of my life, I guess. What I tried to do ultimately was build teams. And a lot of the times we didn't excel as much as we could have because we spent so much time training people that didn't necessarily want to do the work. Uh, Ended up moving into tech from real estate and just kind of stayed on that track for quite a while now and improving process procedures and uh, ultimately landed on mortgage, and our play was a little bit out of the box. What we did was all the work for the real estate agents, cold calling systems, CRMs, websites. I remember I talked to you guys about this, and we did really well, but from a duplication standpoint, it didn't work. And there was a constant issue in the processes that we were creating and the things that we were trying to accomplish. And it came down to people just not wanting to do the work. So we set out on a journey about 2 years ago now to use AI and the current software infrastructure that's available to us to plug a lot of those gaps using digital agents. And as of last week, the product is now live, which is really cool. And effectively, what we do is we snap link into CRMs, we download all of the data, and we can deploy phone calls, text messages, emails, voicemail drops, any type of content across any lead source and entire implementation time to have those campaigns running, those calls taking place, text messages going out is about 10 minutes. Not only that, we analyze the phone calls, we push them back to you, we live transfer, we disposition accordingly to your CRM. So we're more or less an ISA team, a CRM manager, a campaign builder, and a box.
Nice, nice. Now, I mean, just to give everyone like a good like understanding, this isn't your first like, rodeo with AI and building systems, correct?
I would say it's probably one of my first rodeos with AI specifically. I mean, the technology that we're using wasn't even available 18 months ago. As far as my tech background, this is my fourth tech company, two prior exits. So I'm definitely in a wheelhouse that I've been in before. But to say that we've worked with AI in the way that we currently are, no, not at all. It wasn't even available back.
Got it.
It sure as heck would have made my life a hell of a lot easier though.
Well, man, it's crazy because I go through this on a daily basis myself, right? And the biggest thing or the biggest challenge that I face, and I see a lot of real estate agents face, and it's not just because they hate making the calls; they're just being so busy that they're not able to consistently make the calls on a daily basis. Because let's face it, like if there is a high producer and they're booking 4 or 5 appointments a day, or even 3 appointments a day, there's going to be a time where the appointments are taken over. They're not able to prospect or follow up with the leads. So they'll go through like this wave, right? Or a roller coaster of like they get so busy and then they don't get busy, right? And I feel like this system is probably going to help a little bit, but maybe you can expand on some of like when you thought about creating this system, like what did you have in mind? And also, what problems did you see a lot of real estate agents were facing or anybody that's in sales in general?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the problems that we saw. And ultimately what it came down to is we had to make the calls. And not only do we need to make the calls, but the calls had to take place and they had to be dispositioned so that we were effectively tracking them in our CRM relative to where they were at in that in that timeline to potentially buy or sell. And even though I know a lot of people say they get so busy, the reality is that we should be managing our schedules better and time blocking those periods off where we're making those calls. Fundamentally, we know that we should do that. But at the same time, if I have a seller that can only talk at 10 o'clock and that's meet at a property for a listing at 10 o'clock and that's my call time, I'm probably going to do it, right? Fundamentally, I'm not going to walk away from that potential listing just so that I can stick to my schedule, even though we probably should. So that is one case. I do understand the case of people that are too busy, but that wasn't necessarily our experience, right? Our experience was people just fundamentally didn't want to make the calls and they didn't want to use the systems. But at the same time, like you have all these teams and brokerages out there that are effectively saying, if you do this, I can guarantee you $100,000. And it's pretty predictable. If you do these specific set of items, you're more than likely going to see these results. And, and what we found is we couldn't convince people to do the work to get the results. And we ultimately failed from a duplication standpoint to be able to achieve that. That was our experience. Now, once again, I understand the part of people being too busy, but I don't think that's most of the cases. I just don't, especially with the average real estate agent closing what, less than two transactions. I mean, come on, right? This isn't this isn't a busyness issue. This is a lack of willingness. And from a team leader perspective, even from an agent perspective, I mean, we've all been there, right? Where we beat ourselves up for not doing the things that we know we need to do and then still not doing them. Like we've all been there. I mean, and it's that mental, I call it like beating the little bee out of you, like the part of you that's like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to make the calls. Like you need to overcome that part. And I don't think most people and most team leaders have the level of consistency to build a team that is constantly making their calls. It is a massive accomplishment to be able to have a functioning team in that manner.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, even phone calls are the one of the biggest things that you need to do to be successful in this. But the fact of the matter is, you're right. I mean, it complicates things. It's you just get stuck in what you're doing and it just don't end up doing the basics that brought you to where you are today. But I feel like the system that you created, we'll call it by name, fast forward, right?
Unfortunately,
Forward flow. The fact of the matter is, it's more than just AI dialing, though, isn't it, Brandon? I mean, I know that just building the system itself, figuring out the automations, figuring out how it actually functions itself is the complicated part that team leaders don't want to deal with as well. So it comes more to just building just the actual AI portion that's making the dials and text messages. It's actually customizing your system so it better fits your business, correct?
well, it's all of that, right? I mean, let's start at the idea of having to build the software or the CRM instance out itself, and then all the ancillary services too. I mean, CRMs in general are a jack of all trades, but they're really not great most of the time at any of the one kind of tooling specific options that are out. I mean, I have probably, when I was running my team, I had five or six different bolt ons. Even though the CRM I was using was great, there's just other products out there that are significantly better at their specific kind of niches, if you will.
So you kind of pulled it all together.
And that's how we succeeded on the mortgage side. We pulled a bunch of third party services together and effectively ran it and managed it for the real estate teams that we did their loans for. So we would convert all of their leads, run all of their technology, and then we would push it back to the realtors once the leads converted, and then we would hopefully get the loans. And that was our entire play because we knew how to master the systems. But to be able to duplicate that, and ultimately that's why we more or less shut that portion of the business down, was because we just couldn't keep duplicating it. We couldn't keep training ISAs. We couldn't keep getting real estate agents to update the CRMs after they got appointments or got live transfers. And ultimately, a lot of the work that we were doing, because once again, the reality is not everybody's willing to buy right now and today, or even in the next 30 days. But there are people that are willing to have conversations about buying in the next 6 months, next year, and so on and so forth. And people weren't tracking any of that. So we were only getting the low hanging fruit and everything else was going down the drain.
So pain points that you're hitting is basically, I'm just hearing out of like your conversations, like you're making the phone calls, you're updating the system, like you're actually nurturing the leads as well. I mean, there's different pain points that you're actually hitting on. What are they that, Forward Flow actually takes care of?
I mean, from the very get go setup, right? I mean, setting up a CRM, setting up new systems it's not fun and it's very rarely straightforward. I mean, by the time that you're connecting systems, you're using Zapier, you have 20 different fields that you're trying to map. Those eventually break. We've all been there, right? So setup in general is a one big pain in the butt. And let's just start with downloading your contacts and getting them uploaded. Everybody hates doing that. Data gets spread across different variable fields and data fields. Now the data is, kind of messy going in. And if we put something messy going into something, it's more than likely going to come out worse. And so there's your first pitfall, right? Just getting your data in. Now you need to set up all the campaigns. You need to set up all the lead routing. You need to set up all the filtration so that the right campaign goes to the right lead. And on top of that, as you start dialing leads, we want to ingest the timeline. What have we talked about? What are they interested in? Why are we calling them? What's the topic of conversation? And more often than not, a lot of agents are just dialing through the CRM to get somebody to answer, and there's a generic opening or script that they have ready to go in order to attempt to convert that lead. But they're not meeting the lead where they're at. They're just, you know, hey, Sharif, this is Brandon with Keller Williams. I was reaching out today because I saw you're interested in purchasing a home. Cool. But more often than not, that's not really where they're at in the conversation. So what our system will do is pick up all that information, download it for you, and determine effectively which leads need to go into which type of campaigns, where they're at in the conversion process, and we'll begin engaging them without you having to do a single thing. And it's about 10 minutes of setup. That's not building out the system. That's just telling us about your business, more or less, your EIN information, so we can get A2P registered, tell us what your schedule looks like, and then from there, tell us which lead sources you want us to work, and the machine will go to work. There's no campaign setup. There's no text messages to build. There's no phone call scripts to build. There's no emails to build. There's nothing. It's just ready to go. And to your next point, yes, it does improve. We more or less have a standard set of communication styles that we use across the board. And then we begin mixing in different types from there to see which communication styles, which voices, which cadences work best for you and your clientele. And the system automatically adjusts to those types of, the things that it figures out, the cadences, the voices, the communication style, as it begins to see an increased amount of response rates using those styles, it'll begin weighing those more heavily as far as your usage.
And I know
Amazing.
this is launching pretty soon. I think within the next week or so, right? And you don't have any data yet as far as numbers and how is this going to impact the real estate agent's business. But do you have any predictions? Like, what do you expect to see a real estate agent, an average real estate agent, as far as production wise? Like, where's their business going to go after using this product?
Great question. So we do have a bunch of data. It's definitely isolated within some of our test groups, but just from a speed to lead rate, we're of the 2 million leads that we ingested with our test group. Average speed to lead was about 5 hours, and average calls per lead was 2.7. And we boosted that to a speed to lead of 2 minutes. Now that is variable. You can choose how quickly you want us to reach out, but we have a guaranteed 2 minute speed to lead, which we now have enacted. We have a 280% increase in answer rates and a 32% and I'm sorry, 18% increase in appointment setting rates over what they were previously doing. Now, once again, just a very small test group, but that's what the initial numbers do show us. And I think a question we get asked a lot is how good is the AI voice? And I would say it's pretty good. It's not as good as your best ISA or your best salesperson by any means. Um, but the system relies more on a level of consistency than it does just the pure AI being able to control the entirety of the conversation and conversion. I mean, and not only that, right? Like, as great as the AI is, and as much as it can do, and even look at your calendar and set appointments, which is done multiple times, our main goal is to live transfer it to you. So we've built the live transfer out a little bit differently so that it's cleaner in its process. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish is get them on the phone long enough so that we can determine if they're interested and then transfer it to the live agent.
Love it. I mean, I remember when we first, implemented Follow Up Boss, adding the automations and, actually customizing it so that we could use it correctly was a challenge. And it didn't take 10, 15 minutes that you're talking about right now. It took about like 10 to 15 months probably to get it all working. And it's still not done, right? We're always making changes.
Well, I mean, not only that, right? Like, I think it's funny. I go to a lot of conferences and there's tons of great theories that are thrown around, but nobody really gives you a solution to achieve these theoretical things that we should be doing. And one of those is A B testing our marketing, A B testing our campaigns. And there's, just getting your campaigns working is a feat in amongst itself, let alone being able to A B test things in a consistent manner. And that's really what we're set out to do. I mean, even though we are an automations company, what we're after is trying to understand from a data standpoint the psychological reasons why one lead converts versus another one doesn't, or why does this team do better versus this team, or why does this communication style and this voice and this cadence work better than another. And that's what we're at.
I think the one of the things too that this is going to be a game changer for is because a lot of the drip campaigns right now, that's in a lot of the CRMs are very canned, right? So like if somebody's using Follow Up Boss or using Lofty or whatever CRM they're using, and let's say multiple people in the same market are using the same thing, and this lead gets the same emails from multiple agents, they can tell immediately like this is not real, right? But from my understanding, the AI is going to send emails and text messages based on the client's behavior and what they're looking for. So it's going to feel a little bit more personalized, right?
Yes, that is once we have information, right? So there's kind of steps to the process, if you will. There's the initial goal, which is we just want them to respond to something. We don't know what that is, right? There could be tons of different tactics that we use. I mean, ironically, we sometimes send out like, "Hey, for instance, hey Peter, sent you a voicemail. Let me know when you have a chance to listen to it." And I mean, we didn't send a voicemail, but the reality is that they're like, "Oh, I didn't get one." And now it's a bridge to open up a conversation. We're sending out some of the dumbest memes with like cats, like, "Oh, like, are you afraid? Like, what happened?" It's like these stupid memes that get people to respond. And what we're doing is we're just trying to campaigns have been so dry for so long, in my opinion. It's Peter, this is Brandon with Keller Williams. I was reaching out because I saw you're interested in purchasing a home. I'm really great at my job. We should talk. Right. Like, there are these dry attempts to get people to respond. Well, taking this notion that we need to educate and add value, which I agree with, we do need to do that. But for people that aren't responding, and if we're already adding value and we realize that that doesn't work, we probably need to change our approach. And in the world we live in, people love those dumb memes and those the stupid little videos, and so we send those out just to try to get them to respond, because the only goal is to create an opportunity. It doesn't really matter how we get there. And I think that's another thing that we've been criticized for, is that people can't customize their campaigns. And to that, I would say, well, the people that are building the campaigns have probably done so more times than just about anybody. And if they have higher conversion rates and they're constantly evaluating themselves and improving, then why do you want to go in and change them? Right? Like, if it works, does it matter? Like, do you matter how we get there? As long as we're not being offensive or doing something wrong, do you matter how we get there? And I think most of the times is you don't.
And
Right.
does it have a learning capability? Let's say, for example, over time, does the AI get smarter over time based on what responses work and what don't, and make changes from there?
100%. So we have something built in. It's called a retrieval augmented generation system, which effectively creates an address for each response. And in a multidimensional realm, it begins to map which answers are allowing us to move forward in the conversation. And if we use an objection handler, we use a response and the conversation ends, it begins to rank lower as the objection handler or response increases the ability for us to maintain conversation. It's used more frequently. So it's constantly measuring itself to see what's working better.
And it's not even random objections, though, right? It's actually reading the history of the lead within the system to understand which objections would respond better to that lead, correct?
Not necessarily, right? Well, one, yes, 100% it does read the timeline history. So, for instance, right, if Peter came in looking for a 3 bedroom, 3 bath house in, Colorado Springs, and now he wants a 5 bedroom, 5 bath house in Denver, it's not going to reference that first event to say this is what Peter wants. It's going to reference the newer event. And in your case, right, an objection could be, oh, I'm not ready to buy for 6 months. Maybe that's his objection. We couldn't figure out a way to get past it. We couldn't figure out a way to transfer it to an agent to get them to work past it. It'll 100% ingest that data and then redeploy intelligence on top of it, referencing those past occurrences in conversation to try to move the conversation forward. 100%.
That's amazing, actually.
For me, we call them meta variables because they're not real variables that we can define, but we can pick them up in conversation, if that makes sense. Dynamic meta variables. And so, for instance, what our system's doing is it's tracking what's your motivation, and we leverage that motivation multiple times during the conversation to try to get you to convert in that way, right? For instance, like if your concern was interest rates, at the end, if it's asking for an appointment, it's be like, hey, Sharif, I totally understand that you're concerned about interest rates, but in a perfect world, if we could figure that out, would it be worthwhile to transfer you to an agent so they can help you understand what they've done for their past clients to combat the higher interest rates that we're currently experiencing? So like it's using that in reference to facilitate the ability for us to set appointments and transfer to agents. 100%.
Gotcha. So the process flow, if someone comes into the system, how does it work with forward flow?
It depends how you set it up, right? So there are some teams that do really, really great with their dialing, especially with speed to lead. There's other teams that don't. And what we didn't want to do was say, this is how our system works. You don't have a choice. So when a lead comes into the system, assuming you've set this forward flow up to convert that lead source or that lead type, it ingests the lead. You can set a specific amount of time that you want us to wait. If you want to give your team a chance to make that dial, we're all for it. So we give you a variable time that you say, hey, Zillow lead comes in, wait X amount of minutes, then you go to work. If your agent does the job, we'll skip it and we'll just track your call cadence. And if they don't make a call, we'll do it for you. Top of that, you can do all of your revive leads. So there's 14 different campaigns that are built into the system, ready to go out of the box. And our system effectively, if you tell us to work that lead source or that pond or that type, we'll ingest it, we'll determine which campaign it belongs to, and then run the appropriate campaign on it from there. There's very little work to do. I mean, at least think about 30 seconds per lead source, assuming you want different settings. If you're okay with the same settings for all the lead sources that you apply, you can apply as many lead sources as you want in 30 seconds and it's off.
Awesome. And one of the questions that I asked you, I think before too, and the average agent, let's face it, like, maybe they'll probably make 25 to 50 calls a day if they're really good. And I asked you once and I was kind of shocked by your answer, but I just love for the audience to hear it. How many calls a day can this AI software make to the system?
We're not sure yet. And that's just because we haven't had enough leads to be able to test it. But it can easily make 10 calls a second without hesitating. And
Crazy.
per account, not necessarily for the company wide. We just don't. Once again, is it a good idea to actually do that? Not at all. That's a terrible decision. I mean, because once again, the primary goal is to live transfer to an agent. So if you're letting the system go that extreme, I think you're inevitably going to miss out on opportunities.
Unless you have
100%.
like 1,000 agents on your team and you're able to take
Yeah.
that flow of leads that are coming in basically.
Haven't experienced that either. So in theory, yeah, the system was designed. Once again, there's so many gaps in the current tech stack. The current tech stacks that we are able to build, if you will. And we just wanted to fill those gaps. We didn't want you to have to switch CRMs. We didn't want you to have to learn how to do something. We just wanted to report back to you, call you and text you when things are happening that are good. And there's complete transparency. It's not like the system's doing all this stuff behind closed doors. It's posting everything back to the CRM to follow up boss. Everything's in there. The inbox app is live now. The embedded app's coming. So you can see everything we're doing. You can listen to the phone calls. You can see the text messages. You can see everything going out. It's not like we're saying just trust us, if you will. But yeah, I mean, it's really designed to close the gaps, and we want this to be a community experience, right? Like we want you to tell us what's not working. We want our users to tell us. I mean, obviously, if you're like, hey, I don't like the background color shade, like that's not super helpful. Maybe we'll listen, maybe not. But if you have fundamental, like good core things that we can solve, the versatility of the platform allows us to really iterate in a very fast manner and launch new automations. So we just want the community to support us in their opinions, if they will, so that we can create that loyalty so that we're hearing the problems and effectively fixing them as fast as we possibly.
Awesome. And what
What other
CRM systems are you currently working with right now?
It's just follow up boss right now. We already have the Lofty API and approval built. Sync's already approved. Bold Trail KB core is already approved. So we just wanted to start with one core CRM, really nail the fundamental use cases and general usability and onboarding. And after that, we can expand to any other CRMs. It's a very simple process.
And as far as like future for forward flow, where do you think it's going to go? I know like the main focus now is obviously the follow up calls and reviving the leads. Like what's your intention with forward flow, and what kind of other problems do you see that is going to solve for agents?
Well, for one, it doesn't necessarily just do the front end stuff, right? So it automatically, what it'll do is it'll listen to the transcriptions and determine where to place that lead in your CRM as far as dispositioning goes. And if a lead says, hey, call me back in 6 months, I'm not ready to buy till January, it's automatically setting up those follow up campaigns for you too. So it's not just a front end system for like a new lead or revive, first phone call attempt. It'll carry it all the way through the closing process and then back around as well. But we just want to bring in more of the tooling, right? Once again, as we alluded to earlier, there's, Follow Up Boss is a great hub, if you will, but it doesn't provide a lot of those required ancillary services that we have. And there's so many platforms out there that in order to really get a best in class follow up CRM processes system, you're spending thousands of dollars every month. And we just want to acquire the data sets, which is a relatively simple process. A lot of these systems are running on 3 different data sets, and just bring a lot of that tooling in-house so that not only do you have to set it up, not only is your data not going to be aggregated across all these different systems, we can ingest that data and create action upon it. And, you know, more or less what a lot of these systems do is it just creates notifications that you should do something. Well, we want to take it a step further and actually take action on the notifications that are being generated. So we'll continue to build out all the ancillary services that we possibly can. We don't want to be a CRM though. That's our primary goal. Don't be a CRM. We just want to we want to just be able to connect to all of them and more or less supercharge them.
Yeah, because I find that most of like a lot of the struggles that agents have is like every time, you implement a different tech into your tech stack, there's another dashboard you need to go to, right? There's another system you need to log into in order for it to work correctly. Is that the case with you guys in Forward Flow?
No, we actually built our system to not be used. We built our system in a very opinionated way based upon what works, based upon data. And what we said was, is if we can eliminate the UI, if we can eliminate the need for people to actually use the system and just say this works, give us 30 days and you'll figure out whether that's true or not. Most people are willing to take that leap, especially for 97 bucks, right? We're not asking for $1,000 or $10,000. It's 97 bucks. And I think most people are willing to take that leap, see what happens. And that's exactly what we aimed for, because you'll just see that the system adapts in a way that it would take months, if not years, to train your agents to do.
You just said it's $97 for the system. Like I'm thinking like this thing is gonna cost us like 500 to like $1,000 a month.
Yeah, it's
This is
97.
baffling me now.
Yeah. It's a once again, right? Our goal was to build a really great system that was accessible to everybody. We didn't want it to just be for the mega teams, which is where a lot of the software lies. I mean, it's five, six, $700 as a base price product. And we didn't want that to be the case. And so yeah, it's $97. There is a usage component to it. So all of your text messages, phone calls, the pennies, they do add up over time. But from what we've seen from conversion rates, it takes about a third of a transaction to cover for a year. And with one of our users, we set how many appointments? A bunch. It easily paid for itself in the first month.
Amazing. And how could people, I guess, sign up for this product? And when do you feel like it's going to actually go live?
It's already live. What we're doing right now is just moving our older users into the new current system that's live. But you can sign up for a demo right now. We can get you onboarded as early as next week, and our website's forward-flow.com.
Love it.
So
This is fun.
forward-flow.com. You can get additional information on the website. And is you can actually sign up on the site as well?
It requires a demo to sign up just so that we can onboard you. The sales call, the demo and the sales call are really built into one. So we spend a front end time showing you the system, seeing if you're interested. And once again, in the interest of time, we want this thing to be deployable. We don't want it to take 3 months for you to onboard. You have to watch 20 videos. So we just let you walk through the onboarding process while you're on the sales call, and in 24 hours, your system will be live.
And is there a setup charge at all?
Silicon. There is. It's a $200 setup fee, but that setup fee is given back to you in the form of credits that you can use when using the automation systems.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow. So basically $200 upfront, 97 dollars base per month. And I can have a fully automated follow-up boss system with AI tech built in for phone dialing and text messaging.
And voicemail drops and email.
Voicemail drops. And this is all stuff that is not actually in the CRM currently. And right now we're using different systems to pull it all together to give all these capabilities. So ultimately pulls it all together. Now, how's the reporting with the system as well?
Reporting is really good. Could it be better? 100%, and it will get better. But we give you all of your team performance, who's making their calls, who's not. We rank you against forward flow. I know that sounds weird, but it's important, right? Like how are your agents performing against the machine? So we measure the amount of calls we're making versus the amount of calls your team are making. We measure their conversion rates, who's setting appointments, who's not setting appointments. We measure how well your lead sources are performing so we can give you guidance on specific lead sources, because right, at the end of the day, if we're making the calls and nobody's answering and you're spending X amount of dollars a month, there is a direct correlation between whether this lead source is going to be profitable for you.
So it's reporting a lot more than just forward flow. It's actually telling you about your team's performance as well.
It's completely linked into your follow up boss account. We know everything that you're doing. And ultimately, what the system's going to move towards is more of a natural language system. So if you describe a problem to the machine, it can effectively use the data points that it has available to create a solution for you. And that'll be ready here in about a month or so. I mean,
So
so
it's
all
like
your
a chat bot or something that you can ask it whatever.
exactly. And think of it as an LLM that's attached to your CRM. And as you tell it to do something, right? Because it's one thing to get the information, it's another thing to take action on the information. And what we've done is not only given you the ability to create the action that creates the data that we need, but also attach the action onto it. So instead of just creating another task or another phone call for your agent that they may or may not make, we'll just do that for you. And using natural language to be able to direct the machine in ways that you want it to act.
So good.
No,
I'm super excited, Brandon. I mean, I know you've put in a lot of work and your team's put a lot of work into this, and I can't wait till I we try it. Sharif and I are going to be one of the first ones to sign up,
this week.
100%. And I can't wait. I really can't wait. It's going to be a game changer for the team.
Awesome. I'm stoked, guys. It's been a journey. I guess we didn't realize how much work it was going to be to take all the work off of the users' plates. And we paid that price, but we figured it out.
That's awesome. I mean, in a world of AI, it's a common question. Will your system replace the real estate agent?
It's not designed to.
Exactly.
The AI is only going to take us so far, but what it does do is all the work that nobody else wants to, which is really right, because agents don't mind taking a call from somebody that's saying they're interested in buying. They just don't. I guarantee you they get excited, right? And that's our goal, right? So when our system calls you, it's the same phone number, it's the same logo that pops up each and every time. And we want people to be excited to hop on that call, right? We don't want to call them and be like, hey, guess what? You suck and you probably can't pay rent this month. Like that doesn't help anybody, right? We want them to be excited knowing that if you answer this call, it's going to be somebody that's wanting to talk to you about buying or selling. And that's how that was the main goal. And we figured out how to accomplish that.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, you guys heard it. Forward Flow. Check it out. We're going to put the link in description. And if you are interested in signing up, please visit the website that we put below. And this is going to be a game changer for your business. I can't wait to try it myself. And I'm sure Sharif is going to be also
I can't
on
wait.
there. Yeah. And just like always, guys, if you like this content, please share, subscribe, and also visit our Facebook group if you do like to receive some content like this or information. And we look forward to hearing from you on feedback and how we can improve this podcast going forward. And yeah, well, looking forward to our next podcast, Sharif. Thanks,
Yep.
Brandon.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you,
time,
Brandon,
guys.
for joining. Bye,
Awesome.
guys.
Later.